What if you could generate income by teaching Gen Z to talk on the phone? One lady has made a career out of it. It's pretty interesting to me. So before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, send this out there, help us get the word out. The more you help us battle against the algorithms, the more likely we are to be seen by others and to share the light of Christ. This video, we're talking about an interesting phenomenon. Fox and Friends, different places that this woman has been interviewed. She's called the Phone Lady. She is training Gen Z to use the phone, to talk on the phone to other people. Well, you guys can watch. It's pretty interesting.
I think it's harder when you're the parent wanting your child to take your phone call as opposed to when it's a career move, when it's a job market, or for someone very young, when it's an interview for a job.
So I'm just fascinated by this because this is one of the things that I have an issue with social media in general with is social media. When we say things on social media, we're not talking to anyone specifically. Social media gives us a voice that is, kind of out to everybody, but also to no one. And here's the Gen Z generation who is, on TikTok and, just socially media savvy and many of them just ready to kind of bare their soul to everyone and no one. But it's difficult for them to connect with someone specifically. And we see this playing out in many different statistics, right? Driver's license, kids aren't getting driver's license until they're older, which is like crazy to me. When I was a kid, everybody's waiting to get their driver's license. We see this in, marriage age. We see this in dating. There's a lot of decline in just dating between the young generation, like just how that's happening. Over and over again, we just see really people being isolated because of this. And I look at the youngest generation, I see kind of what's going on, and there's things to be very hopeful about too. I mean, this is just one of the things that I'm identifying as we talk about the effects of social media, technology, even things like lockdowns and COVID. And of course, I am of the bent that there's a spiritual adversary that we are against, that is attacking and has a particular plan to try to accomplish. And one of those plans, one of those goals is to isolate people. And I see the result of this isolation and that it's difficult for Gen Z, by and large, more difficult. Not every individual in Gen Z. Obviously, I'm sure many of you, I've met many Gen Z people. I've got them in my life and they're very good communicators and all of that. But as a whole, the generation seems to be less apt to connect with someone one-on-one, less apt to be able to have a conversation and hold a conversation. And there's reasons for that. And whatever all those reasons are, I know that the purpose of it is to isolate people, to separate people from others, to break down the bonds of community and relationship. Because it is through community and relationship that really we're able to impact others. Jesus did not just stay up in heaven and in the, nth dimension looking down on us.
I observe all that transpires here, but I do not, cannot, will not interfere.
But he became a man. Like God became a man to come and be with us so that we could relate, understand, and hear the good news that he had to offer. And we as Christians are called to do that very thing, right? We are called to be all things to all people, to be someone who is seeking others out, to be someone who loves other people and desires to share the good news with them, the hope that we have in Christ with them. And if we're isolated, then we can't do that. If we're not used to having even just regular conversations, we can't do that. And this phone lady thing, I just think exposes a little piece of that. Now, I do want to say I am all behind this phone lady going out and teaching people to have conversation and to break those boundaries. And maybe this should be ministries at churches to kind of, help people break out of that shell and to get comfortable with interaction with people again. And look at some of the basic premises that are keeping them from being comfortable doing that. So we saw this, thought it was interesting. Want you guys to take from it that, as we live in a digital world, it affects us. It affects our kids. It affects everything that we're doing. And we need to be aware of some of these things and just be engaging with both the strengths and the weaknesses of that digital world, so that as Christians we can engage in a way that is impactful, that is effective, and that advances the kingdom forward, kind of retaking territory or exposing minds to the truth and winning them over with the gospel. If you thought this was helpful, if you thought it was interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below. Do it now. I'm talking to you. Comment below right now. I want to hear what you think. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.